ha. I knew the parents of mine would hide it in the compost bin. Time to take the ship and see how far I can go. We'll see who's grounded now. I am free! Now, which one's the gas? I come in peace! What an oddly squishy landing. What's the... Oh. That trip was awesome.
Ow! Watch where you're stepping. Some of us are trying to peacefully waste away into eternity.
Oops. Someone's a bit grumpy today.
Hey, don't you have something better to be doing at the end of the world?
Hello to you too. My name's Maraviglia. Mara for short. May I ask where we are? And where's your arm?
Earth? This is Earth. Here's a better question. What happened to your doohickey there?
Oh! It's ruined. I'm gonna need to forge all new parts. The parents are going to kill me.
There won't be much left of any of us soon enough.
What do you mean, Earthling?
The name's Benny, and only Benny. A few years ago, tensions between countries, our largest human communities, got way out of hand. Suddenly, some random guy gets killed, then bam, everyone leapt in. Huge world war, everyone tests out their shiny new evil weapons, and now there are more craters than people. Just some scattered communities here and there trying to conserve what's left. Some are planning to rocket out of here soon and find new planets to infect.
Bleh, glad I don't live here.
With the looks of your ship, you'll be here a while.
Wait, what am I gonna do? Who knows how to build ships around here? Never mind. Where can I get some Bliptolupenium and Gopherputhium? Blast it, I'm gonna have to pretend to be one of these Earthlings. I didn't pay attention in class much, but I'm pretty sure they don't like strangers.
I'm not human, but it's not that hard to exist around them. They see what they want.
Oh, can you help me learn to pass as a young human until I get out of here?
My days of dealing with the youth are over. I was a stuffed toy passed down from kid to kid until I finally got so beat up that they just threw me out. And I've been chilling here ever since.
Would you help me in exchange for a comforting hug?
No.
An IOU?
No.
How about this blaster?
You've got yourself a deal there, pal.
Great! Give me the fastest rundown you can. Where do we start?
You'll definitely pass best as a teen, so let's train you on that. What to use? Aha! I know just the thing. There's no use for these nowadays, besides kindling. After all, who's going to read when they don't have food or water or shelter for the night?
What is it?
They're just some old graphic novels from a while back. I don't have much to do while I'm wasting away, so I've read them all a time or two. These two are by a cool dude who went by the alias Gipi. They're a bit smudged, but I think this one's called Notes for a War Story, and this one's Garage Band.
Ugh, bored. I skip history and language class for a reason.
Shush yourself. These things are the ultimate wisdom for understanding humanity. Anyway, War Story follows a group of 3 teenage boys in some unknown war-torn country. And Garage Band follows 4 teen boys of about the same age who live in a quiet rural Italian town.
What's an ItAlien?
Italy's a country. In fact, this used to be Italy before the war. We're going to train you to be a regular old Italian kid. At least, whatever counts as normal now. Earth was not always a mutilated war zone, and people still remember peacetime. So you must see what it was like to be free. That's what Garage Band is for. It's about these 4 boys, Alessandro, or Alex, Giuliano, Stefano, and Alberto, teens on the verge of adulthood. Giuliano's father loans him his dilapidated garage for their band to practice in. The story is split into 5 parts, or songs, each capturing a new shift in their changing identities. Each boy has his own struggles. Some struggle with relationships, some with economic and class differences, others with mortality. And the first song marks their escape from these, as well as from their home lives. The second song looks into each of the boys' personal lives, focusing on their ambitions, which are all centered around the garage band as a means of escape. The third song marks the cracking of this fantasy when their amp breaks. The boys decide to steal another band's equipment, and they barely make it out safely. Hard reality hits in the fourth song when the other, more experienced band catches them, and the garage is taken away. The fifth and final song marks new beginnings. Stefano is offered a small job at the A&R Man's music company. Alex opens up that his father, who left him when he was young, has been lending him secret money, so they all rent a new garage space, and Giuliano realizes that he's been neglecting his girlfriend and apologizes.
I really don't see how this will help me to fit in with this world.
I guess it's not just humans who have small attention spans. I'm getting there, alright? Okay, knowing this makes Notes for a War Story way more meaningful. This one follows three boys, named Giuliano, again, Little Killer, also known as Stefano, again, and Christian. The plot is centered around the boys trying to find themselves, at the brink of adulthood. There are three parts. The first, titled From the Hills to the City, introduces us to the characters and their situation. Even with their own personal crises, they must also navigate an uncertain life roaming a war-torn country, relying on thievery to stay afloat. Stefano and Christian don't have a family to go back to, and they often remind Giuliano of the fact that he does, and that makes him different. Eventually, they run into Felix, a man running his own criminal business, and he gives them a purpose working for him. Part 2, titled In the Big City, covers the boys' journey through, guess what, the big city, doing the shady jobs Felix gives them. Eventually, Stefano finds himself through brutality and efficiency and earns Felix's respect. In Part 3, called Notes for a War Story, there's a time shift where an older Giuliano tells the end of the story to a reporter. We shift back to the main plot, where the boys are invited to join Felix on the front. Giuliano realizes he will never be fully respected and leaves, while Christian stays with Little Killer and the others, the only family he has. Older Giuliano finishes his story by sharing that he has no idea what happened to his friends.
Quite depressing. But what am I getting from this?
As sad as it is, this is the culture now. Fitting in is more than just wearing an outfit. You have to try and understand where people are coming from.
Why can't I just watch some humans for a bit? Or read a scroll?
Comics are the most deceptively powerful form of communication out there. I mean, what is war? What are its effects? Why does it happen? How do you encapsulate such a chaotic force so others can try and understand?
I do not know, little Benny. I just want to go home.
You got me started, so you've got to stick around now. Take some notes and maybe you'll learn a thing or two. To really see the difference, let's compare Notes for a War Story to GarageBand. In GarageBand, there is no great external crisis beyond the boys' own development. Yet in War Story, the youths must grow up while simultaneously trying to survive. Both comics are coming-of-age stories, but in War Story, even without a glimpse of the real fighting, the youth's lives are completely altered by war.
At least they don't have annoying parents.
Comics have great freedom in how they create settings. Notes for a War Story uses ambiguity to create a constant sense of anxiety and discomfort. There is no identified setting. We are given town names, but they have no more significance than unfamiliar names on a death toll. In GarageBand, the boys' home is in Italy, and while they may have internal issues, they have a sense of security in knowing where they can fall back for safety. While we get to see the four boys' home life and family in great deal for GarageBand, War Story throws us straight into the chaos, with only brief generalized mentions of the boys' pasts. Comics give the creator this power to throw readers into whatever part of the timeline they wish, and they can rely on the art coupled with dialogue to get readers situated with no direct effort to describe the setting, something written art forms need.
I guess Notes for a War Story is kind of like my crash landing onto Earth, just without the dumpster.
You get it, Mara. The art style also has a particular power, and when joined with writing, the message is twice as powerful as media that only have textual or visual components. For example, both stories emphasize the innocence and awkwardness of the boys through their character designs, which shows things they would never say lest they look weak. In both stories, their constantly changing hairstyles show their uncertainty in their identities, and the ill-fitting clothes they wear show how they cannot fully fit the shoes they're trying to fill. Additionally, when they interact with older men, who have stronger, larger figures and facial hair, it makes the boys appear even younger. In the case of Notes for a War Story, this contrast is made even more painfully obvious when the boys try to act professionally as Felix's representatives, with far older clients, using guns and even committing murder. Also concerning art styles, the use of color is extremely impactful. In GarageBand, The warm, bright watercolors fill the story with emotion and hope, a visual representation of the music that drives the boys. In War Story, the watercolor use is far different, using only black and white gradients, creating a bleak and hopeless atmosphere.
Black and white, you say? Like cows!
Comics also have the advantage through the creative power they give readers. In motion art, like films, there is no room for ambiguity in the events that are occurring. We are given every second. Yet with comics, the gutter, or the space in between the panels, leaves the reader to fill in what happens between each moment shown. When scenes, actions, or time periods shift, we fill in the story that has happened between each point, almost as if we live it ourselves. While this creates more engagement in both graphic novels, there are no earth-shattering events that take place in between panels within GarageBand. However, in Notes for a War Story, the war changes every character rapidly and significantly. Some lose pieces of their morality, others gain new scars or looks, others still even lose their lives. We hear about but never see new towns and communities getting decimated randomly throughout the story, to the point where we become acclimated to such atrocities. We are left to fill in what has happened to each of these characters and communities in between each panel, and by taking part in this, we see the effects of the war through, becoming a piece of the war itself.
I'm just here, okay? Let a peaceful being have some peace, will you? I feel kind of shabby now. I didn't even know that this Italy, or even Earth, was in such a bad place.
Reality isn't always kind. We also have to keep in mind that these comics were made in the early 2000s, so the values of that time influence both stories to some extent. We still see elements of that cultural time period now, so listen up. Italy in the 2000s was in a period of exceptionally slow economic growth and high public debt, so there was much anxiety over money. This shows up in both comics, where the boys in War Story have nothing to their name at the beginning and revel in the money and excess wealth they get from partnering with Felix. In GarageBand, the boys initially cannot afford a garage or even new equipment, and we also see Alex's mother and aunt constantly complaining about those who have enough money to live well. At the end, Alex turns out to have secret funds to support the band. Lastly, Italian Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi was Prime Minister on and off for nearly a decade because of his power as a media tycoon. His control over news stations allowed him to feed the public information that virtually eliminated all opposition. In the graphic novels, we see what may be Gipi's warning about this unchecked power through the boys blindly following the authoritative figures in their lives. In GarageBand, Alex is obsessed with Hitler, even though the atrocities he led were well known and he was long gone at that point. In War Story, this issue is far more prevalent. Little Killer and Christian follow Felix with almost a religious intensity. Felix is by no means a good man, taking advantage of the war to exploit the weak, but he gives the boys a purpose and a sense of security. So only Giuliano questions him because he has a family at home.
So, looking at all of this, maybe what I'm hearing is that Gipi's works are the perfect example of how comics can share heavy topics to anyone, mainly through the powerful harmony of combining image and text, and that maybe by never directly stating a message and letting readers take control of the story with panels as guidelines, and through humor or other emotional rhetoric, they skip right past a person's defensive barriers and make them listen to the story with an open mind. And through these comics, Gipi himself might be saying that we all must face conflicts, but war strips away any support systems and snowballs the horrors one must face, forcing innocent people to do terrible things to survive, and that maybe, no matter where we are, any war is our problem, and the horrors that hurt people we don't even know reach far and wide, striking us too without us even knowing? Nah,
no way.
That's rubbish.
What kind of imagining is that? Well, you've let an old guy ramble for long enough. You should probably head out and try and get the supplies you need to go home.
Yes, I think I have an idea of what I should act like. Thank you, kind soul. I'll try and see if my people can maybe help Earth out. Not that anyone's gonna listen to little old me. I'll be free of this place before you can bat an eye.